guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Leading Lessons podcast. I've had a lot of different people come onto the show at this point. I've had some people in marketing, some people in sales, corporate life, entrepreneurship, but no, this is somebody I've had the opportunity to know for quite a while. So we actually started when I was visiting the University of Tennessee on a little bit of a road trip. And as soon as I met this guy, I knew he had something special in him. He ended up starting as a pipe dream of, hey, let's just start building a multimedia platform. And now he actually has developed one of the fastest growing marketing companies, digital marketing and news companies in the entire country to compete with Barstool and a lot of the other media outlets out there, all focusing on college life and what it means to be, a young professional. So this week I get the opportunity to welcome Andrew Grayson, the CEO of Six Pack Covered. So Andrew, thank you so much for jumping on, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we've known each other for a while and been keeping up with the pod, so I'm glad I got the honor to jump on with you for a little bit.
Absolutely, man. I'm sure a lot of people actually have probably seen your social media pages now. So how did you all get started with the idea of building a multimedia company?
Yeah. So I guess, with knowing you for a little while, you've gotten probably a better idea than a lot of people do, but started back the pipe dream during COVID. I was working in healthcare, didn't love it as much as I thought I did and wanted to do something more. Podcasting was just starting up. Everyone was just chilling at home. So wanted to find something where I could kind of create my own schedule, that flexibility of I work when I want. And I love media. I'm obsessed with sports. I like making content. I like rustling feathers. I like, just keeping people updated with actually the truth. Like, here's what's going on in all these
Mhm.
areas. And so started, out of the closet of my childhood bedroom, living with my parents during COVID. And then from there, just started expanding into, do we want to cover sports or finance or fitness? And then Nick McCormick, our VP, actually came up with Six Pack of covering six different areas. A really unique name with it as well. So went and got personalities. We got people to start covering food, fitness, sports, current events, and that's evolved over 5 years. Business plans change that as they do, and now that's evolved into doing production and media, touring the country, making more content on Instagram, that sort of thing.
Awesome. And from you actually changed careers. So you were initially in the medical field. What was that transition like?
Yeah, so I studied nuclear medicine at Vanderbilt. So I had aspirations of going into the medical field, wanted to kind of follow my grandfather's steps. He was a pharmacist, so I wanted to go still healthcare. I loved helping people, kind of providing that value to them. And I wanted to be a PA, a physician's assistant. I applied, I didn't get in anywhere. Thought maybe I could do the physical therapy route or maybe go to med school. So I had all these different ideas I wanted to do. Bounced around, ended up, studying nuclear medicine at Vanderbilt, which is just fancy word for like radiology, creating isotopes. Like it was really sweet. It was cool. I did some research with CTE, the chronic traumatic encephalopathy, like military athletes, that kind of thing, concussions. And so did that for a while and then bounced around, wanted to get into kind of the corporate side of healthcare, just seeing how corrupt, I won't say certain hospitals, but a lot of hospitals are very corrupt. And I saw that during COVID on the first hand. So I wanted to get out of the clinical space and go more to the administrative and kind of fix that problem. Applied to 30 residencies. I got into one. And so I was like, okay, why am I not getting into anything? I graduated second in my class. So I guess leaving some politics out, but was like, all right, I shouldn't be getting 29 rejection letters for being, the resume I have. So I just said, screw it all together and left healthcare, took that
Mhm.
leap in August of 21. And now, whatever it is, almost going on 4 years here in 2 months. It'll be since I made that leap and couldn't be happier. It's, thankfully now the last, kind of year, 2 years, we've actually been making money and, can support ourselves. But that first 2 years was a grind, leaving healthcare, leaving the consistent 2 week
Mhm.
paycheck, leaving, a six-figure job to moving with my parents and learn social media and whatever the hell that meant. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge leap. Almost polar opposites where you're going from an area that you need formalized education, formalized training, you have a lot of money invested into it, and then changing everything and saying, I'm going to pick up this brand new skill. And I feel like a lot of people did that during COVID because they had all this time that they never had before. Unfortunately, we had a lot
right.
of layoffs. We had a lot of people transitioning back into home from school, switching to that remote life where you really maximized it. So you said that over the first couple of years, you guys weren't very profitable. You were still trying to, as another guest I had said you were making sausage and kind of figuring it out as you go. It wasn't clean, it wasn't pretty by any means, but you were figuring it out. What was that growing pain like over those first 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't make a profit until like our 26th month. So we were making money each month, but we were spending more than what we had coming in, which you have to do that.
Mm,
Nobody's going to be profitable month one of being an entrepreneur. But so yeah, I mean, we'd bring in $3,000, $4,000, and I was over the moon. But then I'd look at my QuickBooks, and I was like, well, shit, we just spent 5,500. We're in the red 2,500, and so it gradually
right.
became lower over the course of like, all right, we're only in the hole 2K, or now it's 1,800, and so finally, just kind of that curve, it finally went down and went on the upside. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of living off ramen noodles and dino nuggies and not going to
Mm-hmm.
UT football games. I haven't gone to a Tennessee football game in 6 years. And so it was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice. Quit going to the bars as much. But it was one of those where it's like I'm a very long term person. So it's like I'm willing to put in the sacrifice knowing, hey, there's a lot of reward at the end of the tunnel. Can you outwork everybody? Can you do what 99% of people won't do? And that's not see immediate results, but just take that chance that, hey, in a year, 2, 4 years down the road, it's going to start paying off. And I'm very self-disciplined. I think I'm one of the hardest working people I know. So I would like to say that I was like, yeah, I know it's going to work out, but it is extremely
Mm-hmm.
terrifying. You're leaving that comfortability of a paycheck. You're really good at what you do. To I got to figure out social media. I don't have TikTok. I hate Instagram. How am I going to make a company around this? But yeah, it was that
Mm-hmm.
leap of faith and that hurdles that, like I said, makes the journey exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah. And so over those first 2 years, when you were just kind of trying to make it forward, trying to learn something new after every experience, I mean, what was your biggest takeaways? Like, if you could put one lesson that you learned the hardest over those 2 years, what would it be?
Probably just staying consistent was the biggest thing because there were some like our biggest, I guess, our best months, I guess, are typically football season, like August
Mm-hmm.
to January, and that's how it was starting out, and that's how it is still today. And so I think the biggest thing was from January to August, knowing, hey, it will be slow. What's going to be that hurdle of like, how are we going to get through that month? How can we
Mm-hmm.
transition and make some more revenue, bring in some more dollars there to kind of understand hey, we're not just a 6 month company. We got to do stuff for the other 6 months. So I think, like I said, that's probably one of the biggest things, or I guess the consistency of just learning. I said, I'm not the best with words, clearly, it's early, but I think that's one of the biggest things for us was just trying to figure out how can we sustain that other 6 months? Do we go down different avenues? Do we just throw everything in the
Mm-hmm.
wall and see what sticks? And then ultimately, like I said, we brought us to here where we're doing
Yeah.
some stuff that I never thought we would 4 or 5 years ago when we had this conception of an idea.
Yeah. What's some of the things that you now look back on and you say, I never thought we'd be able to do that? Like within the business, what are a couple of things that you're able to do now?
Yeah, I mean, one, obviously, like the revenue. Like, I used to get ecstatic. Like, we had a bar in Knoxville paid us $300 a month for the whole football season, like August to December, and whatever that math is. It's only like 1,500 bucks. But I remember
Mm-hmm.
being like through the roof of like, holy crap, a bar's paying me $300 a month, and I thought we were rich. And my
Mm-hmm.
goal was just, can I get to pay my rent, and then I'll be happy. And now obviously we've grown. We've got, several people on the team. We've got, like a full-time team that does these tours with us. So one would be the revenue. It's like looking back of like, we were happy making $300 a month profit. Now,
Yep.
thankfully, that's changed. And then what was the second part to that?
Yeah, just I mean, because I know that when you first started, if I remember correctly, it started as sports betting entity, like, and I know that it changed a lot over where we are now. So, like, what that look like? How did we get to where we are?
Yeah, I forgot Sports Focus. Yeah, that's what it was called for
Yeah.
the first year from like July of 2020 when I made the LLC until August of 21 and we changed to six pack. But yeah, it was called Sports Focus. It was all sports analytics, sports betting, talking about events happening. I had a show with Albert Hainsworth, the former Tennessee Vol and Titans player. We talk about, whatever the upcoming game was, and it was really fun. I still like to bet. I'm a big gambler, and so it was going hard on sports betting and content, but then we realized girls aren't into this. A lot of guys don't care about sports betting. So it's like, okay, how do we shift in the model now of, we need to get college guys interested in sports focus and college girls, or how do we get 30-year-old guys that just they're gym bros. They don't give a shit about, sports betting. So we had to
Mhm.
completely just change that model to like, okay, now we have sports betting and sports, but we have, media and current events and entertainment. So kind of molding that transition of how do we reach more people? How do we attract more kind of eyes on our stuff? And that took a couple years to figure out. Like we used to do a lot of finance and fitness stuff, but we realized
Mhm.
those were two of the six pillars, if you will, that were not getting a lot of attention. So we ended up scrapping those. And so Six Pack started those six areas, heavy on sports betting, and now it's kind of transitioned to, the Barstool model where entertainment, current events, real heavy on college, real heavy on sports. And that's, I mean, 100x our monthly viewership, just kind of realizing what sticks well, what resonates the most with our audience.
Yeah. And I know that majority of your business was actually built off the intern model. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. So that was a huge risk, but yeah, a lot of people starting out, I feel like they want to really grow their company in their home city or their home state. And so like being here in Nashville, we have an okay presence. It could be better, but I was like, I want to just divide and conquer the entire college market. So we had like Six Pack Vols. That's our best chapter, our favorite one over there in Knoxville. And then we went and got Six Pack Bama, Six Pack TCU. And so it was truly a replica model of what Barstool was. It's like we can really
Mhm.
spread this vision out if we get interns all over the country, make these college pages that focus all about like Six Pack Vols. It's like, all right, let's not post like Barstool, a bunch of drunk content and a bunch of ratchet stuff. It's like, all right, let's provide a little more value. Sports,
Mhm.
entertainment, the same overhead model that Six Pack had. Let's just hone in on it kind of at the intern level at the college market. So and then that blew up tremendously. Took a good year and a
Yep.
half, but
Yep.
we got to a point where it's like, all right, we've got 51 college pages, 337 interns. And so that is now just kind of like a self-churning machine like I said, get more eyeballs, get more people introduced to the brand.
Yeah. And I think that's awesome. I mean, and a lot of college kids, they're hungry to get started with something in their career and do something that they can put on their resume that's a little bit different. But, especially when you're dealing with college age interns spread up all across the country, how did you effectively manage that group?
Yeah, it was insane. It was very unorganized for the start, but we did it to where there was one head intern at all of these schools, and that head intern would hop on a call with the other 50 interns. So 51 of us Monday nights. We would do it an hour before Monday Night Football. And it was kind of like being in a fraternity. It was like the chapter meetings that you'd have every Sunday night with your brotherhood. We'd have the same thing on Monday nights. So it was a quick, 30-ish minutes. We talk about, hey, what's going well, what ideas are working, collabing with different pages. I'm just trying to figure out, hey, we tried something at Arkansas and this worked really well. Let's see if we can implement that with the Ohio State chapter, the Penn State guys. So it was kind of like a way for all of us to come together, share ideas, and then those guys were the liaison to communicate that to the rest of the four, five, six people that they had, at Penn State or Virginia, Clemson, wherever it is.
Nice. That's awesome. And it sounds like it giving them a sense of autonomy while also being part of a bigger group was really effective, which is awesome. I think that anyone that feels like they can have stake in the success of whatever business they're part of, when they can make an impact and a difference in it, it motivates them to want to do more.
Yeah, yeah, and it's cool seeing a lot of these guys that I first met years and years ago all just graduated this past year too. So it's kind of cool to see like we met them when they were freshmen, sophomores, and they didn't know anything about Six Pack. We'd send them a ton of merch. They helped grow these pages, and then now, they graduated, I guess some of them a month ago in May, others, a year ago. So it's cool to see kind of we've stuck with them their whole college career. They've helped build and really set the foundation for a lot of these pages. And so, yeah, I hope those guys kind of feel that sense of like, oh, yeah, well, I started Six Pack TCU and now it's got 15,000 followers. So it's like, yeah, they're part of the brand. They were a huge stepping stone to help us get where we are now.
It's awesome. Now, in terms of like future state of where you think the business is heading, I mean, where's your mind at? What do you want to try next that you haven't done already?
Yeah, so I mean, recently we got into doing a lot of production and these tours. The first semester, if you will, because we're based around colleges. First fall semester, we went to like three schools, and it was so much fun. Like Penn State, I think you went to maybe a Tennessee one with us,
Sure
whenever
did.
that was. We slept in the basement of a fraternity house and some air mattresses, and come a long way since then, thankfully. But now, from that, whenever that was, like fall 22 or something maybe to now like this past example, this spring 25, we had over 100 schools reach out to us wanting six pack to come to their school to do an event, whether it was, hey, typical Friday night fraternity party, whether it was the university doing something for welcome week, whether it was a game day tailgate. So we've really expanded on this tour aspect, and we've got a lot of production. So we're starting to do a little more production aspect as well, just because we've really grown on that. We know what we're doing. We have everything in house, so it makes it kind of like a one-stop shop. We can show up. We have everything needed to do a grand event. So that's the direction we're going in a little bit. Also, the social media page is doing real well. So I got to get into making more content. That's something I've struggled with, just the nature of a growing pains with a business. I love making content, like just pressing record and seeing what comes out, whether it's good, bad, controversial, stirring the pot. So I like doing that kind of stuff. And so that's the direction we're headed to now. Is I'm taking a little bit of a step back from these tours. We're about to bring on some younger guys to help run those, and then I'm gonna kind of have more of a kind of bird's eye view of that, just because we're starting to go in so many different areas. I need to kind of help manage it as a whole instead of trying to just micromanage the college and the production aspect of it.
Talk to me a little bit about that because, a lot of businesses, you always hear that the hardest money you make is the first dollar, right? Getting started. That's always hard to be profitable. And then the next hurdle is when you hit that 100K. And then as you get bigger and grow to something that you didn't imagine from day one, it changes because as a CEO, as the leader, as the head honcho, you have to change your perspective from being in the business to now working on the business. So, how have you made that transition, and what's your game plan as a leader moving forward for that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, our model's changed several times since kind of the conception of this. Um, we kind of what I've been trying to do is figure out what are a few areas we're really good at, and we just crush those. And so, like I said, the tour aspect and production, we're really becoming key players in that aspect. And so it's like, all right, I've been in the business, I know how those operate and run, but now we're having growing pains elsewhere. So it's like, all right, I've got to now kind of give up that control to keep growing the business and have somebody else come in, manage that, make sure that's running on a day to day. And that's something like, six pack's my baby. I've been growing this for 4.5 ish years. And so for me, the hard part I'm going through now is the part of like, okay, taking a step back, giving up some of that control to now let, other guys help manage that so I can go focus on something else. And I think that's how you slowly start getting your freedom back too. Because the first 3 years, I had no freedom. It was 24/7 six pack. I worked every day. My Saturday nights were sitting at the computer working with my dog Cooper, like just nothing. I had no life. And so now it's like, all right, I'm getting some of my freedom back, but I'm giving up that control of the business. And so that's the kind of the tinkering seesaw that I'm at now, is like trusting that people can kind of carry on six pack just in this facet of the production and the tours, while there's other needs that need to be met that I can go spend my time and focus on there.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. Being able to give away a little bit of that authority, you'll always have authority, but giving away a little bit of that control to be able to get back to your freedom. At the beginning, you were trading hours for dollars. Now
Right.
you're allowing your business to work for you so that you can be more of the ideation side. You can be the person that's being able to come up with new ideas and new concepts to be able to implement into the business while you're having other people actually work in the business for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough trade-off. Like I've had a lot of conversations with entrepreneurs about it. And I'm a very hands-on, I don't want to say control freak, but like if I'm in charge of something, I know it's going to get done. It'll be on time. I'm not going to have to worry about it. And so for me, it's like, okay, can I entrust an Andrew 2.0, someone that's going to, feel the same way and go, 110% on everything they do, and I can start focusing on other things. So that's the trade-off now, is like, okay, leaving that up to somebody else. I mean, it's exciting though. Like I said, I'm slowly trying to get my freedom back a little bit, because I haven't known what that is since I've started. But that's the price you pay for it.
Absolutely. So from your perspective of making that change, I mean, you said a little while ago that it was the best decision when you left the medical field and going and pursuing your own passion. For somebody that's getting started, maybe they want to make that transition into doing something that is more for them, not for somebody else, being an entrepreneur, starting a business, something like that. What do you think is the biggest takeaway for somebody that wants to get started, but maybe is afraid or doesn't know how to?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the perfect opportunity for someone to jump in and start when you're most scared to, but when you think there's a lot to gain, a lot to lose, and I mean that's the risk and reward. Like I was talking with somebody yesterday that they're trying to do a similar thing. That they're out in Houston right now. They've got a good paying job, but they've got a really brilliant idea that I'm trying to kind of help piggyback and help grow it. And he's shitting his pants of like, dude, I make 75,000 a year. I'm 25 years old. I don't know if I can move in with my parents and make $0. And I was like,
Hmm.
that's welcome to the life of every entrepreneur has that question, that the back and forth
Right.
of the anxiety, the excitement, and just the blend of it all together, that opportunity that comes of it. But for me, the biggest thing is just outworking everybody. I feel like I'm somebody that knows how to do that. I've got a lot of discipline because we live in a day and age where everyone wants, that instant gratification of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go start a company and I'm gonna start making 2, 3, 4 grand a month doing it, and it's gonna be the best decision ever. But there's 1% of people that's like, okay, I can work my ass off for a year, delay all of
Hmm.
that gratification in hopes that it's going to come. There's a good quote actually by a comedian that I met that said it. And he was like, it's like you're getting in an Uber and you don't know when the destination is, when you're getting off. You just hope you get there. And it's like,
Right.
that's exactly what it is. You hop in and just pray that you know what you're doing. And like I said, a lot of times I think the right people, it will work out for them. There's some people I know that are starting out and that I fully expect them to be back at their full-time job in a year. I just don't think they've
Hmm.
got the discipline. So, long story short, I think it's just all about outworking your competition. It's just, can you sit down, sacrifice everything that you enjoy doing to put all of your effort into a business or into an idea? And are you willing to get kicked in the mouth all day, every day, trying to figure out
Hmm.
how is this going to work? What's the model? How can I stand out in this industry and make myself,
Hmm.
not more profitable, but make myself kind of get more exposure. Like I said, whether it's selling a product, whether it's making content, whether it's like me, social media. It's like how everybody wants to do that. How can we stand out with kind of
Hmm.
stand out in the crowd amongst everybody else? So it all comes back to kind of my favorite word is just outworking the competition. Just can you do that and delay your gratification for X amount of months or even years?
Yeah, I like that you brought up the fact of, or the idea of going back to the starting point, living with your parents, not starting back at $0, because I think every single person that I've talked to that has run a business has had to step back to be able to get ahead. When you think of people that run businesses at one point in time, they didn't run that business. They started at $0 with zero people. And over time, they make some revenue, hire somebody. Now it's a army of two. And then that doubles again in maybe 6 to 12 months. And then maybe it doubles again in another 6 to 8 months. And over time, you look back and you say, I don't know how I started, but all I know is I started one day. I don't remember the first action I took, but I did something to now get me and took another step and another step to get me where I am today. And oftentimes people think, oh, well, I can do this all on my own. But, along your way, what are some of the things who are some of the people that helped influence your decision of going into business? And then how did they influence that decision to get into business for yourself?
Yeah, yeah. I guess just backtrack. Yeah, it's all about little victories with it. You're not going to make a shitload of money starting out. Like I mean, I was happy making $300 a month compared to, I mean, whatever, few $1,000s, if not more, that I was making in healthcare. Yeah, I mean, I had a girlfriend at the time. I moved home. So it's like, yeah, I'm living with my parents at 20, 25, 26. Had a girlfriend. And then once that ended, it's like, okay, how am I going to go date in Nashville when I live at home in my childhood room? I don't have a job. I work for myself. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sacrifices you need to do. But if you measure these little victories, it definitely kind of makes the process a little bit easier going forward. So yeah, during COVID, kind of when I had a lot of free time outside of working in the hospital. I actually wrote letters to my grandfather. He was a big influence for me. He was a pharmacist. He opened up his own shop, and I didn't have any mentors. None of my friends were starting businesses. Everybody was go to college, go get some BS job when you graduate, or go get your MBA, law school, med school, whatever it is. So I had
Mm-hmm.
nobody to like pick their brain. I read a ton of books. I tried to listen to a lot of podcasts because, like I said, we all had free time. My biggest thing was I wrote letters to my grandfather, and we would just write 2, 3 page letters once a week of just more so, I guess, kind of encouraging motivation. Because, like I said, I don't think any parent's dream is for their kid to give up a very high paying job to move back in with them to start a social media company, that whatever that's going to mean. So, like I said, it was really tough for the first few months of like trying to get the motivation and the discipline of like, am I going to do this? So my grandfather's my biggest kind of motivator to, like I said, kind of keep me on the right mental track of it. Because, like I said, when you don't know what you're doing and you're not good at it, that's a quick recipe just to get out. And when you don't know what you're doing, you're uncomfortable with it. It's very frustrating. You want to run back to resort to what you're good at. And for me, it's like I've already quit. I can't run back. I'm not doing this. So my grandfather and then my one of my buddies lives in North Carolina in the Army was a real big kind of factor for me. Just because, like I said, I wish I had mentors, and now it's cool to kind of pass that advice on and help other guys out. But those are two my motivators to kind of keep me on the right track of like, look, you're not going to succeed right away. Just keep going. There's a reason you're doing this. And I think everybody needs to have a couple of those guys like-minded that have gone through that same path, or that just are constant there to kind of motivate you and cheer you on the whole way.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need one person to say that you can, while everybody else is telling you you can. I'm sure there was probably people on the way that said, "This is stupid, Andrew. You just gave up a great opportunity. Why are you doing this?" Kind of, what would you tell somebody that would now be saying that that's not possible? You can't do that.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I got a lot of friends from high school and college that would tell me in person, or I'd hear it kind of passively of just like, oh, did you hear Andrew's doing a little, baby barstool type company left. And it was a lot of fuel for me too. I love to outwork and prove people wrong. And it's funny, not a lot, but a couple of those people that said that have tried to come work for us too. And that was the biggest reward of just like, okay, well, glad to see you're still stuck in your same 8 to 5, whatever. We're doing fine our own. And so it's funny. There's a really good story Alex Hermosi says. It's like when I was first starting out, I had, some people were making fun of me, whatever, doing this whole thing. But a lot of people were rooting for me of like, good for you, man. Like, let's do this. Like, you're going to make it. And then I made it. And I got to that point where we're doing really well. We're growing so fast. And a lot of those same people that rooted for me are now like making fun of me for getting to this part now, or this point, kind of that success. It's a weird double-edged sword with it, but yeah, hopefully, again, I go on tangents a lot. Hope it's a long-winded answer to your question.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's not the first time I've heard someone say that a lot of the naysayers now ended up coming back, 2 years, 3 years down the line when you're actually seeing success and they want to be they want to jump on the train with you. So I love that that's happening for you.
Yeah, when I was in the trenches and had nobody but my dog, and yeah, I was getting laughed at the door by a few people, and now, like I feel like I don't boast a lot. I'm not someone that goes on and says, hey, look what I'm doing with this celebrity or this person, but like we've met a lot of cool people, athletes, influencers, and it's funny seeing some of these same people comment on an Instagram story or whatnot, and it's like, yeah, I thought you used to make fun of me for doing this journey. Now you're praising me because, we're very successful now. So that's part of it. I feel like that's every entrepreneur. You got your naysayers with it that hopefully can give you some fuel to keep going.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Andrew, if someone wanted to kind of tap in and see what Six Pack's up to, I mean, how do they follow along with what you guys are doing?
Yes, our biggest platform is Instagram. We've got a TikTok and a website, but really the bulk of all of our content, kind of who we are, is Instagram at Six Pack Coverage, spelled out SIX. Yeah, I think somebody gets on our Instagram page for 10 seconds, I think they would understand the kind of company we are. Like I said, we don't post ratchet stuff. It's just more of like hey, here's like a no bullshit. Here's what we're bringing. Here's the sports, the current events, the entertainment. We don't stray one side, left or right on politics. Well, we dab into that a little bit as well. We want to just be an outlet that isn't pushing one type of agenda. We've got sponsors and brands, but they don't tell us what to post or what not to post. We're just we do our own thing. We want to convey that to the masses. Thankfully now we've gotten to a point where we're reaching a lot of people each month, whether they like us or whether they're the trolls in my DMs making fun of us. Instagram's the place to go for it.
Okay. And if someone wanted to specifically reach out to you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, I think my email is actually the one connected to our Instagram page because I think it says like follow, message, and email. I think if you click the email, probably should change that, but that's directly linked to my work email. So that's probably the best way to get a hold of us, or just sending a DM to the Instagram page. There's 6 of us that run that page, so it stays pretty active. So there's somebody on there that's got a hold of it.
Okay. Well, Andrew, thanks so much for jumping on, man. It's always nice to see what it takes to start a business because a lot of people, they're probably watching this saying, I really want to do something, but I don't know how to get started. And you're just an example of the first step, right? Just do it because you never know what it can grow into over a 12 month, 24-month, even a 5-year process. So I appreciate you jumping on, and I hope that everybody, picks up something along the way for this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Always great talking with you, Jay. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. And you can always check in every Tuesday for a new episode that's posted on YouTube and all other social media platforms. Leading lessons on all the social media platforms. Thanks so much for tuning in.